This podcast is part of the C-Suite Radio Network, turning the volume up on business.
Welcome to the Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer. Join us as Deb talks with her guests, experts in their fields, as they share real-life stories and techniques to power up your business.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And today, we are really going to give some great tips about a way that most people don't even utilize to help make themselves and their businesses successful, and that's events. And more importantly, it's events that you put on yourself. So please join me in welcoming my guest today, Anna Osherov. Welcome, Anna.
Hi, Deb. It's good to be here.
You know, and bless you, because you are in Australia, and when we are recording this, it is 5:30 in the morning for you. So, you are so passionate about this topic that you're really dedicated.
It sure is 5:30. Well, it's nearly 5:45 now.
Hey, that's it. If we talk long enough, the sun will be up.
That's right.
Well, excuse me, let me tell people just a little bit about you before we really jump into this. So Anna Osherov is an event marketing expert building a community of eventologists armed with a Bachelor of Communication from Monash University with expertise in event marketing and 14 years experience working directly with business owners. Anna is the CEO and founder of the Holistic Business Hub and an event marketing expert who works with visionary leaders to teach the art of Eventology, how to master events for your business growth. So again, Anna, welcome.
Thank you, Deb.
Well, excuse me. The first thing that I always want to know is, how did you decide that this is your passion in life?
That's a very good question, Deb. So I studied communications and I worked within the advertising and marketing space, both within agencies and then consulting. And I actually, while I was consulting, I was sent to do some marketing training for a company who teaches tradesmen how to be really good at their business. And so I went in there and I was teaching some marketing workshops and I thought, I'm really good at this and I really love it. And so when I decided to leave my job and start my own business, I thought, you know what, I'm going to start doing some marketing workshops for business owners because I know that it's something I've been doing for a long time. It's something I'm passionate about. I've got some content there. And so I decided to open up a venue called the Holistic Business Hub from which I could run marketing training and also rent it out to others to be able to do their own events.
Right.
And what ended up happening was that people would book my venue and then they would have no idea how to build and grow that event so that it was profitable, valuable, so they'd end up cancelling or they'd call me and they'd ask for a whole lot of advice around, well, how do we make this event viable? How do we get people in the door? What do we do from a marketing and event and business growth perspective? And after consulting to a number of clients within my venue and after, learning how to run marketing or trying to learn how to run marketing workshops myself, I noticed that there's a big gap in the marketplace for teaching small business owners how to master events for their business growth, especially from that event marketing perspective in order to make it a viable avenue for marketing your business. So I took all of my knowledge from marketing and communications and put it all into doing it for events and event marketing, and found that I really enjoy socializing. So it's a really great opportunity to socialize. But realistically, there's just such a need for small business owners who are looking to build and grow from that one-to-one to one-to-many model and create an event and really make it viable. And there's very little support. So that's where I position myself.
And many times small business owners are told that the best way to really get your message out there is to be a public speaker. And it's funny. I said, because, and then of course we're all like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. But, it is a great way to get your message out there. And so then we think, oh, someone will invite me to speak. And, and I don't think it ever occurs to many people that probably the best way to go about this is to host your own events. So that's what you teach people to do, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly what I teach people to do. I say that, in order for us to have our message heard, we actually need to get into the arena and stand up in front of our own crowd,
right,
and then make ourselves known. And that's exactly the space that we come from. And, we talk about a journey when it comes to building events within our business, from unknown to industry influence. And there's a step-by-step process that takes time,
right,
to build and grow.
Mm-hmm. And we can't just assume that, it's the same way that we would market other things, because it's not, and because we're marketing ourselves, which that gets really weird. It's one thing to market our product or our service, but to actually market ourselves is tricky, and because there's so many things involved. I mean, the first thing we're thinking about is, isn't it going to seem real egotistical if I give my own event? Or what if I do this and nobody comes? Or worse, one of the things I always worried about, what if only like 2 people came? And then those 2 people went and told their friends, "Ooh, don't go there because only 2 people attend." And so how do we get ourselves, first of all, into the right mindset that we can even start this process?
That's a really good question, Deb. And I think, first of all, we need to think of our event as a product in our business, because it is a product or a service that you're offering.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of thinking about it, is it egotistical for me? Well, no, because you've got so much value to share. And I sometimes believe that it's unfair for you not to be sharing that value.
Right.
At the end of the day, we all have expertise, especially in the small business space. Whether you are a product-based or a service-based, it's always possible to create value from an event. That's one thing. The other thing is you can partner with other people to create an event. So it really depends on what type of event you're running and what is the purpose of this event for you in your business, which is one of the very first questions I ask people. Because
why do we want to do this?
Yeah. And what's really interesting is most people, 99% of people, answer this question, letting you know what is going to be the outcome for the audience and the value they're going to give to their audience. But if we're not able to articulate and identify the value of this event for us in our business, first and foremost, then there's no point in really running this event.
Right.
So once we're able to identify the purpose, and the purpose can be very varied. So it could be for product sales, but it could also be to gather marketing collateral. I know some businesses that only run events. They'll run them every quarter, and the whole purpose is just to gather marketing material. So to get videos of them on stage, to get photography of them on stage, to be able to create content for your ongoing marketing collateral, to get some testimonials from, your current clients. And so if you're running an event for that purpose, what you can then do is you can engage your current customers and give them back as a value add, and then ask them, what is it that they need to know? So I know people who are accountants, and they've got, as an accountant, you have a big database because you have people coming through every year, and it's only, generally sort of once a year at tax time, and so you've got a really big database, and people ask their customers, what would you like to know about in business? Just like you're doing right now. What would your listeners like to know about when it comes to business? And then they curate an event where they might speak for 15 minutes and get others to speak for, whatever it might be, for an hour or a 2-hour event, whatever that might look like, and then be able to utilize that for re-engaging their current customers and staying front of mind, and also being able to get marketing collateral.
Right. Well, and I like that idea, especially because you're inviting people that because I think that's one of the biggest fears, and whether people believe it or not, the whole speaking in public, thing. But it is scary when you're first doing this to get out there and give your message. So why not be giving it to people who already know and love you?
And that's another really good point. One of the things I talk about when it comes to events is it takes time to build momentum.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've generally found is that at about event 4,
Mm-hmm.
when people start to understand who you are and what you do, and you start to get more of your ideal client in the room. So if you're doing events for business growth and positioning and brand awareness purposes, it takes up to 4 events for you to be able to get the right people in the room that will actually invest in your service, because there's your event is there
Mm-hmm.
for a reason, and it's generally there to, if it's not to give back to your customers or to get marketing collateral,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it is about, teaching and potentially making sales. And so in order to do that, you need your ideal customer in the room. But what I find happens is event number 1 will generally be filled with your family, your friends, and your supporters.
Almost the people that you beg to attend, right?
Yeah, but this is an awesome event for you to be able to get a great sizzle reel from, so like good videography, because you've got people that are warm and kind and they're forgiving, right? They're there to support you,
Mm-hmm.
which is perfect for that first event. But it also takes, so as I said, up to about 4 events to get to a point where you get your ideal client in the room.
Right.
But it also takes at least 4 times for you to say your content out loud to an audience before you remember what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
right? So then you're not all in your head going, what was the next part that I was going
Or
to
having
say?
to read your slides.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's bad. I actually say to people, if you're going to read your slides, you may as well press play and just sit in the back of the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just let everybody read to their heart's content.
Everyone's able to read, so just...
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
it takes you about 4 goes. So it's quite good to have that parallel between, well, I know that it'll take me at least 4 events to get to a point where I am able to fill a room or start filling a room with my ideal clients. And also it'll take me about that much time for me to get better at delivering. So I'm able to, be with the audience rather than be in my head.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
And very few people can actually get up and just extemporaneously speak, or even, even if they're extremely well prepared, to make it flow smoothly, to deal with interruptions, all of those various things. And that's the scary part. I mean, you can know what your subject matter is cold, but when you're in front of people, it's like, oh my God, all of a sudden you've totally forgotten what you've, been doing for 20 years or what you spent, years in college for, all of those various things.
Yeah. And what's interesting is the only way to overcome that is to do it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like that's it. It's just practice. Just like anything else you do in your life, you get better the more that you do it. And the only way you can get better at it is to practice. So go and do it.
Right. And let's be honest, it is scary. I mean, I've been doing this for years, and I still get butterflies before I go on. And part of it is I get in my head a little bit too much, the what ifs. What if I go long? What if my technology fails? What if somebody interrupts? What, I've been heckled before. That was a really strange thing. And you kind of talk, what if I forget? I mean, that's just the probably the biggest thing is, what if I just totally get up there and my brain goes, so, you can do it 20, 30, 400 times and still have those butterflies, which to me, that's a good thing. I think if you're too practiced, that comes off that, it's like, because we've seen speakers like that, right? Who, that they just get up there, it's rote, and, they just spit it out, and they pay no attention to who's out in the audience, all of those various things.
That's shame on the speaker.
I don't. Well, and I'm always one of those that then wants to do something. I'm a good kid. I don't interrupt or, throw a dinner tray or something. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the biggest hurdle that we all need to get over is actually getting up and giving it. And so again, I love, the fact that you say, at least the first time, maybe even longer, give it for family and friends. Now take it seriously. because you want them to talk about it and say good things. But, practice in front of people who are, as you said, going to be more forgiving when your slides get messed up or you forget something or whatever.
Yeah, and look, it's family, friends, and supporters.
Right.
And I say supporters because it's those people that say to you, I'm here to support you.
Right.
So they're people who are in your business network who generally are either not your ideal client or they've known you for so long that they don't feel like you are the best person to give them advice or service them as yet, but they are really supportive of what you do. And those people are fantastic for those first few events. And then as you get further down the track with your events, ideally we want less supporters because they're not the people that are going to be investing in what's coming up next for you. So when people say, I am here to support you, let that be a bit of a warning bell that you may not have done your marketing as well as you could have, because they're not people that are going to be there to, help your business grow from a perspective of, investment.
But to be honest, if they were your supporters and going to spend money, they probably already would have.
That's right. But they're great people to go and shout your praises to others. So,
and they're going to be good at giving you feedback, all those various things. It's just, it wasn't a good match for them to buy from you. And that's fine.
Yeah, 100%. That is right. Yeah. And the good thing is actually, I love what you mentioned there. They will give you feedback. And what's really good with people like that is to potentially brief them on what it is you'd like them to keep an eye on you doing, because sometimes we're in the room and we're with the audience and, it might be around, did this content land well? If you're pitching from stage, how was that pitch? Do you have any advice on that? Did I deliver my content effectively? Did I pause? Was I with the audience? Was I too much in my head? Were there parts that were too long, too short? So they're really good people to sort of brief so that they can keep an eye on what you're doing in the room to then help give you great constructive feedback.
Right. It's funny, as you were talking about that, I was thinking, it's almost like they're a focus group. They're really not going to buy from you, but they're going to give you great input.
Yeah, they are a good focus group. That's true.
Right. And of course, one of the things that isn't fun is when they criticize, but that's really what you want them to do, because the worst thing is that, it's fine. Well, Anna, how was, is fine. I get nothing from that, and so you want them to say, oh my gosh, slide 4 or, whatever you talked about was the greatest thing in the world, but you didn't tell us enough about this or something like that. So you want them to give both good and bad feedback. Lost your video there, but you're back.
I'm back.
It's a really long way that we're having to make this connection. It's 4,000 miles? Somewhere around there. So
something like that.
You gotta love technology. This is just fabulous. So so you want people who will be honest. And I guess that's maybe the biggest thing. And honest, but not hurtful. And that comes back to the word that you said, and that's supporters. Because it might not be your friends and family. And so it is, I think what we really want is we want the people there who are going to support us.
Yeah. And look, they say feedback is the breakfast of champions, and I solidly stand by that. We can't grow unless we get feedback, and feedback from people who know what they're talking about, so that's really helpful in that space. That's why it's supporters rather than family and friends.
Right. Well, and your family and friends might not have the knowledge about what you're talking about. They might really not have the desire to ever buy it or even refer to you. And so that's back to where those supporters come in. They're your cheerleaders.
Yeah. Especially if they might be your current clients too.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, now, of course, one of the big things that people say, and I love that you have obviously very directly addressed this, is I want to have an event, but where do I have it? And unfortunately you are 4,000 miles away, and so we can't utilize your facility. But, I think that probably is one of the biggest questions that people have is, okay, I've got this great topic. Now what the heck do I do?
Mm. That's a really great point, and I think you're highlighting something that I highlight for my clients quite often is that when it comes to events in general, until such time that we run an event, we're really passengers at an event.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that we know what it's like to invest in a ticket, whether it is through money or through registration. And so
Mm-hmm.
we know our experience with events from such time that we got our ticket, which means we get the ticket, we go to the venue, we remember what that venue was like, whether we had to park, what that was comfortable or not,
Mm-hmm.
what the venue looked like, what the food was like, if there was any food, what the presenter was like, if they were valuable or not, if you remember the content, and then we've left.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're thinking about creating an event for ourselves, the very first thing we think about is, well, where do I have this event?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so then we
Because
start to get
more
all
than
caught up.
likely, we don't have our own facility.
Yeah, I totally understand that. However, what I like to start with is the question I asked earlier is, what is the purpose of this event for
Mm-hmm.
me in my business?
Okay.
And once we're able to identify that, then we're able to identify, well, who's going to be at this event and what is
Okay.
the value I'm bringing them?
Mm-hmm.
And once we know that, then we're able to have an idea of how big we want the event to be or how small we want the event to be, whether we'd like to have, 10 people sitting around a table,
Mm-hmm.
or do we want to have 50 people sitting theatre style
Mm-hmm.
in rows? And until such time that we're able to first and foremost identify what we want this event to look like,
Mm-hmm.
then we can start to look for a venue.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're looking to do your first event and all you're looking to do is get 10 people in the room so that they sit around you, or even if they sit in chairs so that you're able to practice and deliver this content, then you might have a friend that has an office which has a
Right.
boardroom in it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can ask them. You might be able to find a community house of some description or a boutique venue like my venue, or you might be able to find, it might even be, a function room upstairs at a hotel or at a pub. So first, really understanding the type of space you need so that we're able to deliver the right type of event with the right purpose for this particular event, and then start looking for venues.
Mm-hmm.
My other recommendation is to not just call up and say, what are the costs of your function room? Because then what you're going to get is the top level costs of the function
Right.
room.
Right. Yeah, because they're salespeople.
That's right. But have a conversation. Say to them, look, I'm looking to run events. I'm potentially looking to do this ongoing,
Mm-hmm.
monthly or quarterly.
Right.
I'm going to be bringing people in. They'll be investing in food if they're going to have lunch, or we'd like to, have a menu for them. I was wondering what you could do
Mm-hmm.
for me to support me in growing these events so that we can continue to, have them at your venue. And so that way you're having a conversation with the person who is, well, with a human rather than, well, these are our rates, and then thinking,
Right.
oh, well, that's too expensive for me.
Right. And I work a lot with hotels on bigger type of events. And one of the things that I learned really early on is they really will quote you this level. This level is probably what's going to work. And so it's just a matter of negotiation. And I mean, sometimes they don't have flexibility, and that's, if you know that, then that's fine. But usually they can, because they're in it to make money. So they're going to tell you, you have to buy $20 worth of food for each person, or, you have to rent it for X number of hours. And if you want an overhead projector, it's $700. And I'm like, okay, we'll do, but not a lot. I've got my own projector, and so you start going through all of this. But I love the fact that, you talk about saying, we want to partner with you, because then it really is, how can we get your message out there? Because then you can rent the space for other people, all those various things.
Yeah, exactly. And also sometimes thinking outside the box. There's a lot of venues these days, and I'm sure that it's not just in Australia. There's a lot of venues that have a different quirk to it. I've seen people run events at like child centres, like play centres for adults and children. I've seen people run events at like a indoor golf course or an indoor mini putt course. I've seen people have, events at those escape rooms. So there's always ways to think about it from a different perspective. But first and foremost, we need to just understand why we're running this event. What type of experience are we looking to create for our audience so that it's in alignment? Because if we're talking about something that's really, really serious and you're at a pub and there's
Probably
lots
not.
of noise going on, it's not going to work. However, if you're doing a networking event where you need some quiet, but you're okay with people conversing and people, talking to each other, interacting, engaging and playing some games, then it might be a really good opportunity to have your event there. So it's really about thinking about the experience for our audience and also the purpose of this event so that we're able to marry those two up and then find the right venue.
Right. And of course, one of the keys is to actually go to the venue at probably the time, that you're wanting to have it. So, say you think, okay, it's great to have it from 11 until 1 in this private meeting room in the pub. Well, that's great, except they might be packed out in their regular part of the restaurant and it's so loud in the meeting room that you can't be heard. So, always visit the place.
Another good thing to do is find events like the events you'd like to run and then go to them.
Right.
And that way you can see, what it's like. You can also have a conversation with the person who's running the event to find out, what have they done in order to be able to make this viable for themselves? What are the costs? Do they know the person who owns the place? Because there's always opportunities to negotiate.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously ask your friends too, post on Facebook, post on LinkedIn, hey, looking for a venue that can have 10 people, what do you suggest?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Well, and that's where people are going to say, oh my gosh, I went to this great thing at the putt-putt place.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a big trend coming up now with having unique venues for your events to really engage your audience and just give them that transformational experience.
Well, and of course, the marketing person in me immediately thought, oh, if you have it at a unique venue, you tie that into your marketing, and of course, my brain is not going to give me something off the top of my head, but, some way that you can tie in the title of your presentation with, putt-putt or, whatever.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So many options.
Right. And again, look for those different venues, because I don't know why this one just came into my head. Zoos, a lot of times zoos have conference rooms, and all sorts of places. And I think that probably is, one of the things people are always thinking, we have to be in a hotel and it's going to cost a lot of money. And that's really what I'm trying to emphasize to folks is, yes, there might definitely be places, and times where you do need to be in a hotel, and again, that's who is your market. What are you trying to do? All those, but think about the other places that are out there that are cool.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well,
Really,
now,
really important.
Yeah, one of the things that just popped into my head, see, I'm one of those, squirrel, is the age-old question, free or fee? Do I charge people to attend? So what do you think about that? Because I've had people talk to me both ways about it.
That's actually a very debatable topic. And I find that is a really, quite often I get asked this question. There's a number of things to think about. First of all is why are people coming to this event? So what is this event for and what are we doing? And then thinking about what do we want people to, what's the next step for people? So do we want to sell something from this event? Do we want to register people into a next step from this event? I think it also depends on your budget, your processes, how well you know your audience. Personally, I have found that it's easier for me to run an event when it's a paid event because then I know who's coming.
Right.
Because when people commit to an event from a money perspective, they make their decisions differently to, oh yeah, this is free, I'll just register and make a decision on the day on whether I'm going to go or not. Whereas if you have to pay, even if it's a minimal amount, if you have to pay, you think you'll actually check your diary, you'll see if you're available, and you'll make that commitment differently to what you will from a free event.
Oh, I do that all the time, and you're right. It's not even how much did it cost. It's I paid, I better go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So then you have a better visibility on who's coming along, and you're able to prepare better.
Right.
However, I guess it's also about knowing the numbers. So in the marketplace, statistically, only 40% or 39% of people who book free tickets will come.
Wow.
So therefore, if you would like to have 25 people in the room, you need about 100 people to register.
Wow.
And it's similar statistics with online events as well.
Yep.
Because obviously events aren't just a face-to-face. You can do an online webinar or
something like this works very well.
Masterclass. Yeah, definitely.
Well, and and it really does. To me, it's even worse when it's an online event. Even if I've paid, if they say the recording will be available later, okay, then. and I'll be honest, even if I paid, I never check again, and I don't know why, and I always have that, I need to do that. I need to remember to do that. Even if they say, the recording is only available for 2 weeks or whatever, there's just something about that doesn't always click with me. And the funny thing is, it doesn't matter if it was $5 or 50 or whatever, and so somewhere online is not making a connection with me that I need to, that I've made that commitment.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? You would think that it's easier to come to an event from the comfort of your own house. But I think the idea of an event is an experience. And when you're sitting in your own house in front of, that's right. When you're sitting in your own house in front of your computer, you're kind of not really feeling like you're there at an event. However, again, I think one thing that we need to think about when it comes to an event is it's a really awesome way to market your business. And it's not during the event that the marketing happens, right? So as you said, even if, 2 people show up and they might go and say, they can't speak to a lot of people because it's only 2 people. But the point is that you've been, you're being really integral because you're doing what you say you're going to do. So you said you're going to run an event, then you run an event. But it's also everything you do to market your event, you're marketing your business. Right? And so when you said earlier, marketing for an event is different to marketing for your business, the biggest difference is that there's a shorter timeline. See, when you're marketing your business, you are continuously marketing, analyzing, tweaking, marketing, and there's no set timeline. Whereas when it comes to an event, you literally have between now and X date, and you need to fill that event. So we get quite a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress around it. However, while you're marketing your event, you're marketing your business. And that's why I say, how to master events for your business growth, because it is really very much about getting as much bang for buck when it comes to your marketing collateral as you can through the actual vehicle of an event. But when you're talking about the event, you're talking about yourself and your presenter bio and what you're doing. When you're talking about the event, you're talking about your business and the value that your business brings and what you can do. When you're talking about your event, you're talking about the products that you sell and potentially have for sale. When you're talking about your event, you might be talking about the partnerships that you've built within your business that you're going to be able to deliver value on together. So it's really about broadening your thinking. Instead of thinking an event is another thing that I need to do in my business that I don't have time for, we can think of an event as the thing that we do in our business in order to build and grow, that promotes our business at all times. And we're able to, it will actually cost you less money to get all of your collateral for your marketing through your event than it would any other way.
Right. And I love that you say, keep in mind that you're marketing everything else, because, typically when I get something for a potential event, I look at other things. Who's there, who's going to be there, but more importantly, okay, well, Anna's going to be talking about this. What else does Anna do? So I might end up not even going to your event, but buying something else from you, and so don't just, have your little event in its little box and forget to talk about the other things that you do.
Exactly. That is exactly what we need to be thinking of at all times. And make sure that all of your information is accessible.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the other thing. If, you might have this event, but you forget to put your website on there, so they can't look up other information or whatever it is. It is, as you said before, it is just another product or service that you're doing. And so, always have that in mind.
Yes.
Now, I've given events in the past, and, I was the speaker, and it was funny. I was talking to you about this before we started the program. They were okay. and I had pretty good turnout, and I mean, you can tell just from how I'm pitching this, they weren't spectacular successes.
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of it was probably because I didn't continue them. I gave them a couple of times and went, oh, okay. And so clearly first mistake I made, I didn't figure out the why. It was, and some of it was I gave events when I first moved to Atlanta so that people could even get to know me. Who is this person and why is she saying she can talk about this? And so it was the name recognition thing. But, as I said, I didn't continue them. And, and I think that's probably the biggest mistake that I made.
Yeah. So can you just walk me through, as you said, why did you run the event in the first place? What were you looking to achieve?
For example, I gave one of the ones that I did was on how to use LinkedIn as a business professional. So not a job search one or anything like that. It was, you are a business person. How should you use LinkedIn? Had, at each one, 10 or so people, good venue, found a nice venue, all of that good stuff. But it was, the goal was that people would then hire me to, well, first of all, I wanted to just get knowledge out there. I really wanted people to go, oh my gosh, I need to be using LinkedIn. But of course, then the other goal was that they would hire me to help them with LinkedIn. And that's the part that didn't happen. And so, clearly I didn't market something right, or I wasn't in front of the right people. That's probably, the other thing. And, and after a while I thought, this is a waste of time, and money, because, right, it is a waste of money, because I wasn't, when I was focusing on it, I wasn't doing something else. I wasn't, working for a client, for example. There were expenses that I had. Now, I did have enough people who paid, who covered the expenses. But yeah, I mean, I really did come back out of it. And I did, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5. And then I thought, I just didn't get enough out of it.
Yeah, that's a good question as well. So what's quite interesting there is, were you pitching your services post during the event?
Well, I thought I was.
Were you following up after the event?
I did, but probably not enough. And of course, that's the thing. We don't want to bother. We don't want to be a pest. If they loved us, they would just come back to us.
No. That is another thing that I struggle with so much, especially with like one-on-one clients. Like, they're like, oh, we don't want to bother people. We don't want to, at the start, to get them in the room. I say, well, what have you done? And they go, oh, well, I've booked the venue. I've put the event on some form of ticketing platform, whether it's Eventbrite or another type of ticketing platform. I have put the event up on my social media. I've sent an email out to some people, and maybe they've sent a messenger message out or an SMS, and they're like, oh, I don't want to bother people. And I say, well, it feels like you've done a lot of work, but at the end of the day, we know that only 20% of emails get opened, not less. We know that only 7% of what we put in our news feed is actually seen on the other side. So essentially what you're doing is you've asked somebody to spend their time and or money with you and all you've done is potentially just sent them one message.
Right.
And then you don't want to be pushy,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want to be engaging people to come along. But if we think about it from a perspective of our ideal clients or the value we want to be giving, those people at some point thought that what you're doing is going to be valuable to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's your job to continue to remind them that they thought that this was of value for them until such time that they'll either tell you that they don't want to go,
Right. Mm-hmm.
or they buy a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, they're the only two options. Either they say, can you please stop
Mm-hmm.
emailing me, messaging me?
Right.
And they can quite easily do that by unsubscribing.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do that, that's okay, because that means that they weren't your ideal client.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And same with your follow-up for your event. So it's really around, first of all, understanding, well, how many people do we need in the room in order to convert? Because, if we're thinking, like looking at marketing, generally we've got the rules of 10%. So if you have 10 people in the room, you'll most likely convert one person. So is that one person worthwhile? Do we want to have more? Do we want to collaborate with somebody else who's doing something in the space of business who might be able to bring more people? So let's just say an accountant, right? An accountant who might deal with small business owners all the time. You might say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Accountant, I'd love to do an event for your clients to teach them about LinkedIn, because I know that it is a great platform for them to be able to build and grow their business. And if they want to, they can then hire me for my services. And then you've got a trusted audience. So, it's about taking the time to analyze who's in the room, how do I deliver, and then testing the space. So when we talk about the journey of events, so we start in that unknown space where obviously nobody knows us. Then we start to test. Then we start to test the space for our signature event, because we don't know what that's going to look like. Maybe it's, LinkedIn basics. Maybe it's lunch and learn with LinkedIn. Maybe it's, LinkedIn for small businesses. So we're not really sure what that's going to look like. So then we test the marketplace to see what types of events will resonate. Once we've found our signature event, then we can experiment with that signature event. So how long does it need to take? Do we have it in the morning? Do we have it at lunchtime? How many people do we need in the room in order to convert? What is our call to action at the end? Are we only pitching one thing, or are we confusing our audience by pitching too many things? So it's really around then experimenting. And once that can take anywhere between, 6 months and 2 or 3 years in order to really nail down what it is that we're doing. And then we become recognized in this place for what it is that we do. And then, until such time we might become industry influencers, and they're sort of big guns in that event space. And for some people, they don't want to go there. All they want to do is be recognized, have a really smooth, systemized approach to utilizing events to, market and grow their business. And it's always about thinking about the event as a marketing channel within our business. Because what I find happens is, they don't work for me. But it's like saying, if you've ever tried Facebook advertising, even if you do it if you're doing it by yourself and you're doing it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, how many times have you boosted a post? You've spent money on it, and really the return has been minimal. So it's just about, committing to an event marketing strategy within our business, and then rolling that out one successful event at a time.
Right. And the most important word there that you said is committing, because I did it, what did I say, 4 or 5 times and went, it didn't work. I just didn't hit that sweet spot yet. And your video went away again. And so it really was that I needed to keep going with it to find the right market, or the right program or whatever it was. And so basically I just gave up too soon. You've gone away. Come back, Anna. Come back. So, so we had a little technology glitch, folks. And so hopefully we've got this edited back together. Like I said, my guest, Anna Osherov, is in Australia. I'm in Atlanta. We're about 4,000 miles apart. So, the fact that we could even do this at all is kind of amazing. But, I believe we were talking about the fact that, I had given events and I didn't commit to them. I didn't give them enough time to become successful. And that's definitely true. I didn't stop to think about, okay, was this the right topic? Was I inviting the right people? All of those various things. And so Anna was saying the biggest thing is that you have to make a commitment if this is something you're going to do.
Actually, it's really interesting. I talk about the 6 key ingredients for event success.
Okay.
And the very first one is commitment.
Ah.
Really, yeah, it's really important to make the decision that this is what we're going to do in our businesses and give it a real go.
Mm-hmm.
And once we've got that, then we can talk about clarity around what is our business model? What is our product ecosystem, and where do events fit into that model? And then gaining some strategies around, well, how do we utilize the vehicle events for business growth? Then looking at our skill set, as you mentioned before, public speaking might not be one of our skill sets, or it could be, we could be amazing public speakers, but we're not so good at the admin or the budgeting stuff. So really understanding our skill set and then being able to go and seek direction for the areas where we, potentially might need some extra support. And then finally being able to find a hub, so a place to be able to continue to run our events ongoing. And this is where that venue question comes in, because at the end of the day, if you have a venue that and they know you and your clients know that that's where you're running your events, it's one less barrier for everybody for it to be a smooth rollout for your event. If you know that you're always in the same place on the same day around the same time, then when you put your events up, people have been thinking about it, because it sometimes takes people, for you to put on 5 or 6 events before someone goes, oh, you know what, I'm ready to go and attend this event that Deb's running on LinkedIn, because I'm now in the right place. The stars have aligned. I have time. It seems to make sense. And so I'm going to attend. And they don't have to think, oh, where is it? How am I going to get there? What's the parking going to be like? Because by that stage, they know that you're running them at a certain place. And same with online. If you have, you like to use maybe Zoom for your webinars or GoToWebinar, whatever that might be, you know the platform, you make it around the same time, around the same day, so that you are quite easily engaging people. So when they know you've got a new web event coming up, it's not, okay, so what's the date, what's the time, how do I do it? It's like, okay, well, I know that Deb runs her events on, 7:30 p.m. on a Thursday night. So I just need to make sure that I'm available on, second Thursday of the month at 7:30 p.m. so that I can attend Deb's event.
Right. And I love the fact that you say, look at what skills you might need to have someone help with. Because obviously we think we've got this great thing that we're going to be talking about, but we might not be the great organizer that can do that. And so you might need to hire an event planner, or at least a VA or somebody like that who's going to temporarily help you with the event. And, and plus, it does help a lot of times to have somebody else there. You need to be checking people in, all of those various things. And, folks, we're not talking about spending a fortune here. You can work a deal with the person. Hey, I will give you my training for free if you do this. Or, but again, remember what we said about free. People don't always value it. So, there are definitely ways to do this.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing that you pointed out there. Is people do go, especially when you're new in business, you don't want to be spending a lot of money on rolling this out. So what I talk to people about is, if we have, so when we look at it, we do actually in my classes, in my workshops, we do a skills self-assessment. So we look at marketing skills, communication skills, logistics skills, technology skills, sales skills, and we identify where we might be great and where we might need to add some tools to our toolkit. And there's a number of ways of doing that. One, you can go and you can learn, invest in yourself to upskill, or you're right, or you can outsource. And outsourcing might not necessarily mean paying somebody. Right. Volunteers are phenomenal at your events, and you're right, they get to come along and participate in the event and get all the knowledge for free, but they're actually giving their time. So it's not free, they're giving their time versus. But the other thing that's really good to do in order to upskill is go and look at events that you think are awesome and attend them, see how they're being rolled out, and then have a look at who's organizing them and have a conversation with the organizer, and then maybe volunteer for that event. And then what you're going to get is a whole lot of new skills in your toolkit that you might be able to then use for your own event. So there's always options and opportunities as long as you're just thinking a little bit outside of the box for the way to be able to build and grow.
Right. And I love that, because we do get fixed on it should be this way, and we can't deviate from that. And as you said, by attending other events, we're like, oh, and again, whether it's that you find the cool venue or you find an event planner that can help you with these things, and let's be honest, you can even attend events that some people would consider to be your competitor events. Why the heck not? I mean, everybody teaches whatever the subject matter is a little bit differently. So, you can get ideas from them. Now, we're not stealing from them, folks. Don't be doing that. But, you can see, oh, this worked and this didn't, because you're going to present differently than they do anyway. So, it's like, oh, okay. I mean, some people are really funny and you can't be the funny person, all those various things. But, I love that. And it's, if now you might let them know that especially if you know them, that you're going to be there, because some people don't want a competitor in the room, and so you don't want them to be startled by that. But again, they should be comfortable enough with what they're doing that it doesn't matter who's there.
Yeah, and I think that whole competitive landscape, it's really about you are going to be good for some people and I'm going to be good for other people. So when clients say to me, oh, I work with everybody, you're like, that's actually really unfair to everybody. Forget about the fact that it's really difficult to market to everybody, but it's actually unfair because let's just say you might resonate best with, I don't know, males between the ages of 45 and 60 because that's the space that and that's where you've worked in, and that's your ideal client. And maybe I might resonate with, females between the ages of 18 and 35 because that's the space that I know. And so I'll be able to bring my most amount of value to my ideal audience, and you'll be able to bring your most amount of value to your ideal audience. And then really the only thing that makes you different to all that information out there on Google is your stories and your experiences and the way that you've managed to collect that information and then be able to curate it and provide it back to your audience. There's so much content out there that the only thing that people are looking for is for somebody to collect it and then process it and then give you the best type of content about that topic possible so that you don't have to go and troll the internet for that information for hours and hours and hours. That's why there are experts.
And as you said, there's so many benefits to actually attending an event as opposed to just, reading it online. Networking is probably one of the best things. You're there, you're meeting other people. You might develop partnerships with them. They might become clients. I mean, who knows? But, and I think that maybe is why people still, when possible, like the in-person events. And because we meet other people, we get out of our office, and it doesn't matter if your office is your spare bedroom or if you're in an office of 2,000 people, you're getting out and meeting new people.
Yeah, that's really, really important. I think part of our experience as a business owner is that we do sometimes tend to be by ourselves, and we do tend to, it's us and our clients, and being able to get out and, feel the experience, actually have that connection of person to person, face to face, just makes such an impact. And I think that's why running events within your business, you're creating a community, you're creating a tribe of people. It's not just about you, and being able to create that group environment within your events, within the first sort of 10 minutes or 15 minutes of your event starting, enables you to have a much greater impact and a much better event. And we do that by letting other people speak. You don't have to speak all the time. A great way to get a sense of your audience is just to ask them who are you, what brought you here, and what is your biggest challenge when it comes to whatever your topic is.
Right.
And that allows them to share, them to be heard. It gives you heaps of insight into what they're there for, so you're able to answer their questions, so that at the end of the day they feel like you've listened to them and given them the answers, and they get to connect with each other in a safe environment. And all of a sudden your group dynamics change like that, to have a much more giving and warm environment that will both beget you more business, but really create a community.
Well, and I think that's really what it comes down to in so many cases is being kind of that connector. Yes, you've got your knowledge and your wisdom, but when you're that business connector, that goes so far with so many people. They might not even remember your seminar or your training, but they go, oh my gosh, that's where I met Bob.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, really, really important.
Now we don't have too much time left. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about was something that I saw when I was reading through your website. And that was, again, the reason why we want to do this. And it's to become that influencer. And it's funny, I talked with another guest not long ago on the program about being an influencer. And, and that is so important to people. And it's not being the expert or, all of those various things. It is being an influencer. So, what other reasons, again, we want to share our knowledge, we want to make money, all those various things, but why else, why should people, again, why do they want to be thinking about giving their own events?
Yeah, look, I think that first and foremost, it gives you unlimited opportunity for thought leadership, for brand awareness, for client engagement, for client retention, and for sales, but also a really amazing way to market. Just so much opportunity within your events. If we think about it, if it takes us, say, 30 hours to convert one person, so you might spend 30 hours with a person, and out of 10 people, you would have converted one, maybe 2 people. And it takes you about 30 hours. That's about 300 hours of time for you to convert a person, maybe 2 people, right? Now, and that's one-on-one. Think about if you took that time and you put it into your organizing an event, it would take you less time. You'd get more people in the room. You'd be able to get your more leads in your database, more marketing collateral, plus you get an opportunity to stand up in front of your audience, position yourself as a thought leader and an expert, give value. At the end of the day, think about how awesome you feel if you walk down the street and you bump into somebody and they've asked you a question and you've given them value and they walk away feeling better people for having to have had a conversation with you. Imagine that en masse. Imagine that for 2 people, for 5 people, for 10 people, for 50 people. So having that opportunity to really give and share makes you feel absolutely amazing afterwards. I've never met somebody who's run an event and at the end said, oh, I didn't feel good after the event. I mean, the run up to the event it's not even might be, it is definitely a roller coaster. It's definitely exciting, then stressful, then people aren't buying tickets, so we get upset, then we get excited. Like, it's literally like the whole time. But then when you deliver your event straight afterwards, you just feel good because you've given value, and people are always really appreciative. They're like, thank you so much. It was such a good event, blah, blah, blah. You feel good.
Right.
So, yeah. So other than...
Oh, go ahead.
No, go. You go.
And I really was thinking of it from a time perspective. Say you attend 3 networking events a week. I mean, that's probably at least 2 hours worth of your time, that you're going, and you're talking to a couple people, probably a couple people you already know, right? Because we don't always go and network. We go find the people we know. You had food. You might have heard a good speaker. I mean, that is one of the benefits. But just think if you'd spent that 6 hours creating your event, and as you said, giving it to the people, giving your message to people who really want to know it, as opposed to maybe At a networking event, you get 30 seconds. And so, just think about it, folks, as a way to really get your information out there in a much more beneficial and way for money, cost, time, all of those various things.
And that gives you an opportunity to do strategic networking.
Mm-hmm.
So you said we go to a networking event and we spend 2 hours talking to people we know, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine you had an event coming up, and then it gives you a great opportunity to have a conversation with everybody, right, to say, mm-hmm, hey, I've got this awesome event coming up. It's, I've created it specifically for people just like you who are in business, who'd like to, and I'll just keep coming back to LinkedIn, who'd like to utilize the LinkedIn to be able to grow their business. My event's coming up in, a week, 2 weeks, whatever. Here's a flyer. Mm-hmm. Would you like to come along? Let's swap business cards. Then you've got someone to market to.
Right. Right.
And your conversation is very different to, well, what I do is.
Yeah. I know. I love 37. My name is, and I work for, and but well, and you can even go a little bit further, especially in this process of trying to figure out what and where, and all those things. Have a special discount code for the attendees that you just spoke to. So say you go to here in for me, say I just went to the Marietta Business Association, I would have a special code just for them. Then I could go to West Cobb Business Association, have a code just for them. Doesn't even have to be a discount code, but that way you could say, oh, okay, well, the next time I'm going to do this, I got 0 people who came from here, but I got 20 people who came from there. So maybe I need to go to there twice. Again, it is all part of this marketing, and it comes all the way back to what you were saying at the beginning. The presentation is a product or a service, and we have to treat it like that.
That's right. That's right.
Perfect.
And take ourselves out of it. Mm-hmm. What about you?
I need to do this again. I need to get back into giving events because I enjoy them. I mean, that's the funny part. I enjoy giving events. And now that I've been talking with you, it's like, okay, I see what I did wrong. I see what I definitely need to do better. And, and so I think it's time to make this leap and get back into doing this.
Great. I'm glad I've been able to inspire you.
Yay! Well, let's go a step further. How can you inspire other people? How do they find you online?
Oh, that's a great question. So I am on Facebook as Anna Osherov. I also have a venue called Holistic Business Hub. So you can have a look at holisticbusinesshub.space. But I also, for those people that are living not in Australia, I do run online masterclasses, and it's generally called Build Your Business with Events Online Masterclass, and that will be on Facebook. And then there's also an opportunity to invest in an online course on how to master events for success. So I'll be able to share that as a link, as an opportunity for maybe our next masterclass, and also a link to the online course.
Perfect. I love it. We will have that in the show notes. So, this really has been so much fun. And as I said, it has inspired me. I need to get back to doing this. And I think it will be so much fun and to you and I just need to remember that if it doesn't work the first couple of times, it's okay. I just keep going. I need to, figure it out. I mean, it's kind of like product R&D, right? If that might not work, so let's take it a different way. Let's take it a different way and keep going until we find that sweet spot. And that's for me, of course, the key is patience. Okay. But, it's really been great. And I hope that we have inspired other people to think about giving their own events, because as you said at the very start, Anna, so many people have so much great knowledge and information that they can share, and they don't. And so think about that. Think about what you can be sharing with people, to inspire them, to educate them, to make them laugh. Shoot, some of this really is just to have some fun, and so think about that.
Definitely.
Well, thank you, Anna. This has been absolutely wonderful. I am Deb Creer. I've been talking with Anna Osherov in Australia. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer. Join us next time for more real-life stories and techniques to power up your business.
You've been listening to C-Suite Radio. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.